Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Hello, howdy, welcome to episode 44 of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney Perry. How the heck are you? I picked a really bad time to start my podcast because I'm currently tried out these new things. They're pretty damn good. They're called Hi Chew, as in H-I, Chew, C-H-E-W, sweet and sour. And they're pretty damn good. And unfortunately, I popped one in my mouth because I thought that was incredibly good timing. Because, when I know I'm going to be talking, I decide to shove food in my face, knowing that I'm going to be doing this podcast. Because, I like to do things as obnoxious and unprofessional as possible, apparently. Speaking of unprofessional, whoa. To anybody that listened to episode 42, the one about TikTok, I can't fall asleep. Holy cow. So I did not play that back and listen to it. And apparently I should have, because it did that whole thing where it made that obnoxious noise. And I even said, hey, I never edit anything. I don't listen. But I definitely should have edited that. And I should have done a whole new podcast, and I didn't. And I am so sorry. I definitely, oh my God, you guys. So I said I was eating, and it's these like chewy, almost like Starburst type of consistency, and it got stuck on the roof of my mouth, around my tooth, and yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. I'm professional now. Here we go. I got this. Anyway, I absolutely should have edited episode 41. That was super obnoxious. I am so sorry. To those of you that stuck it out, again, man, you guys are hardcore. I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is what inspired this conversation. I was talking to my friends in Florida that I talk about all the time. What? I've decided I'm going to give a shout out every day to my Florida friends. You know who you are. And that got me thinking of the different states in the United States, and how I was talking to them about this, how each state kind of has their own thing that they're known for, whether it's like the type of weather they have, or whether it's like some type of tourist attraction, or whatever it may be. And I was like, well, what is Oregon known for? So I'm from, Oregon. And I thought, well, I think microbrews. We are definitely known for microbrews. And Germany, anybody out there in Germany listening, I did see that there was like one or two people. So Germany, they call Oregon basically Little Germany, because we are just known for our beer and our microbrews. And specifically Portland, and now Astoria. And so I am from Seaside, which is only like 25 minutes from Astoria. And so Astoria is north of Seaside. And we have actually quite a few microbrews between Cannon Beach, Seaside, Warrenton, and Astoria. And a lot of really amazing ones. And then Portland has, I don't care for Portland at all, but I will say they do have some pretty darn good microbrews. And so I think Oregon is known for that, and then just for being incredibly liberal and a little, I will try to steer clear of hurting anyone's feelings, but I think we're known for being pretty liberal in our microbrews. But I started going through each state, and it's funny because I've always wondered what other people think about other states. Like, what do people from I don't know, Maine think of Oregon? What do people from Ohio think of Oregon? And then I always wonder if there's a rival state. Like, for example, no offense, California, I do not know why, but for some reason, Oregonians have a real bug up their ass when people from California move here. Or even just drive into, like, God forbid somebody with California license plates drive into Oregon, because I will guarantee you, anybody listening from California, if you are in Oregon and you have your California plates and there is an Oregonian behind you, we are cursing at you and we are saying all kinds of horrible things. I don't know why. You're probably a very lovely person and don't deserve any of that. I guess we're just big ol' assholes or bullies or territorial. I don't know what it is or where this rivalry comes from, but it's not just me. Like, I've seen it even on websites, people talk about it, and every person I've lived here literally with the exception of 6 years in my life. So for 42 years, I have lived in Oregon, born and raised, and I can safely say that if you talk to any Oregonian, they will tell you we have this weird thing with people from California being here at all in any realm, especially moving here. Like, it just bugs us. So I always wondered if each state has that, if each state has that one state that they're like, ugh, they see their plates and they're just like, ugh, it's probably the state right below, or, obviously going to be right next to them, whether it's to the north, south, east, west, or whatever of them. I'm sure it's the state that's immediately next to you that you have this weird, but is it just Oregon? Are we just the only assholes in all of America? Is it just us that's dicks and we're like, ugh? But lately there has been a ton of people from California moving here because California is a Democratic state and so is Oregon. And of course we are far cheaper, a lot cheaper to live here than it is in California. So, I'm sure that's why we're having such a huge influx of people coming in. But I just wonder that, like, people get territorial. Like, it doesn't matter if you like the state or not. I feel like in general, people are like, hey, we're closed. Don't come here. We want the jobs for us. We want the houses for us. We don't want to share. And I think it's kind of a territorial thing. And I don't know if other countries, I'm sure other countries, again, it can't just be America, like Australia, does it annoy you if, like, people from different, like New Zealand, like, if, I know that's a whole different country, that's not a state, it's a whole different country, I get it, but like, if anybody from New Zealand moves to Australia, and are you like, ugh, New Zealand people, blah. Or, if it's someone that is from the West Coast moves over to the East Coast of Australia, are you guys like, ugh? Or, again, countries in general, what do you guys have that where you just, for some reason, it's not that this area, this province, again, I'm used to America, we say states, and to be honest, I don't know what term everybody uses. I know that there's provinces, there's territories, but in all honesty, I don't know who all has which. I'm kind of ignorant on that topic. So I don't know. I was thinking about that and what spurred this whole thing, because it isn't like the people from California are coming here to change policies, because we have the same policies. We're both Democratic states. I do understand, though, why if, people from Oregon moved to Texas, how they would be like, excuse me, don't be thinking that you're moving here and trying to change our state because we're a Republican state. But I always wonder that. Are people moving because they want a change? They no longer like the country or the state that they are in? Because I'm not going to lie, it bothers me a little bit when people from other countries come here and then want to do the same things they did in their country. Because to me, I'm like, well, then why did you move here? You don't need to move here to America and go through all of that work just to turn around and go, well, that's not how we do it in the country I'm from. Well, then why did you move from the country you're from? If you like it so much and you like their policies and you like how they do things, then by all means, stay in that country. But if you're moving to another country, I feel like it's usually because you no longer, I mean, if it's not work related, if it's not a work related thing and you're choosing to go to another country, then I'm going to make the assumption it's because you no longer care for how your country is being ran, or you maybe don't like how much it costs to live in your country or whatever. But normally I would say it's going to bug anybody if you leave one country and go to another and then try to tell those people in that country how they should be running shit. And that's kind of frustrating. And so I would get how people in America, like if they move to Florida right now is just growing and tons of people are going to Florida. And I hope that it's not to try to change Florida. I hope it's because maybe they're leaving Oregon, a Democratic state, and going to Florida, a Republican state, because maybe they are Republican and are getting sick and tired of how Oregon is ran or whatever. So I just wonder that. I always wonder, when people leave, if I were to move to Canada or if I were to move to Portugal, if I were to move to Israel or whatever, I always think I would never move to those countries and try to implement my country's policies on them because, well, that's rude. That's not why you move. So at any rate, I was thinking about that. Sorry, now I have to take a drink because I'm rude. I eat and I drink while I am doing my podcast because I'm just a rude person. Okay. In all honesty, I'm having a beer, which I rarely do. But I went to the barn today, got all dirty. I still have dirt embedded in my hands and I smell like hay and dirt and I love it. I love every minute of it. I hate taking a shower after I get back from the barn. I do, for the record. I do shower, just to throw that out there, but I don't want to because I really genuinely like the dirt under, well, actually, I hate dirt under my nails. I don't like how it looks, but man, I just love looking at my nails and going, yeah, I put in some work and I just love that. Anyway, okay, so that's been on my mind. And then again, after talking to my friends, I always think about each state and what they have to offer. And I always think about things like, okay, do they have tornadoes? Do they have tsunamis? Do they have hurricanes? And again, I live in Oregon and we really don't have anything. I'm from Seaside. I'm from the coast. I'm from the West Coast and we can get tsunamis. Tsunamis are a thing. But again, I lived in Seaside in particular. I lived in Seaside, between Seaside and Astoria. I live in Clatsop County, put it that way, for 29 years. And in that 29 years, there were like 3 tsunami warnings. And that's it. And I think the last time there was an actual tsunami, I believe it was like in the 40s. So, okay, yes, there are tsunamis, but those are pretty uncommon. And yes, you can have an earthquake. I know that Oregon is long overdue for a big old earthquake. But again, earthquakes don't happen all the time, like in California, for example. It's not something that we're always, or in like Japan. I know like there's certain areas of the world where they're a lot more earthquake prone. We don't really have anything here. But I was talking to my friends in Florida and I'm like, I think Florida would be amazing for so many reasons. But I'm like, y'all have sinkholes there. And I realize there's a certain area that there are sinkholes. And so you stay away from that area. But then I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the whole state is going to be underwater soon. There are hurricanes. And again, I know there's hurricane season. So out of the 12 months out of the year, it sounds like there's only 2 or 3 of them that are hurricane season. So I get that the rest of the time you don't even have to worry about it. And then I look at, but then they also have like snakes in their pipes. And I don't want to be, going to the bathroom, especially as a girl that sits down and have a snake all biting my ass. No, thank you. I'm not scared of snakes, but I certainly don't want one saying hi while I'm, half asleep and not really awake. And I go to sit on the toilet and there's a snake in there. Thank you. No. And then the whole alligator situation, I would be scared to death to have a dog. I mean, unless it was a gigantic dog. So what, you just can't have small dogs if you live in Florida? I don't know. I don't also want to go to jump in my pool and there's an alligator. I mean, I guess you would see an alligator obviously before you jump in it. But again, I know those things are like few and far between and every state has their thing. And then like tornadoes. Oh my God, the people that live in tornado country, the people that are in like Oklahoma, I don't know how on earth you get used to a tornado. That would mortify me. That would scare me to death. And the sirens that they do to warn you of it remind me of the tsunami sirens that we had in Seaside, which cracked me up because so every Wednesday at 7:00 in the evening, they would do a tsunami siren just to test the tsunami and make sure that the tsunami siren to make sure that it worked. And in Cannon Beach, which is a little town south of Seaside, instead of doing the actual tsunami sound that we would hear if there were a real tsunami, they do their test sound, which is a cow mooing. And I did not know this when I first moved there, and I was working as in a daycare, and I had the kids outside, and they do theirs at a different time. It was like 5:00 in the evening, and all of a sudden, in loud, keep in mind, this siren is so that all of Cannon Beach, so that the entire city of Cannon Beach can hear it. Because again, it's supposed to be when there's an actual tsunami, there's going to be the sound of the tsunami. But this is a cow. And all of a sudden you hear this, moo, moo. I can't do it right now because it's loud. And I'm like, what in the hell is happening? But they do that, of course, so that when there is an actual, or if there is an actual tsunami, people will pay attention because there'll be a different sound. But Seaside doesn't do that. They do the actual tsunami drill siren. But when there's tornadoes, they do that same siren. And I know, what if you don't have a place to go? What if you're in the middle? What if you're just driving, down a highway? What if you're in the middle of a field riding a horse? And then I think, oh my God, where do all these poor animals go? So all the cows and all the horses and all the sheep are just screwed. They just it reminds me of that movie. Oh my God, why did my brain just get with the cow and Ellen Hunt? And oh my gosh, you guys, my brain just totally, I'll think of it in a second when I'm not thinking. But, all of a sudden she's like, cow, because where do the cows go? Where do the livestock go? I feel so bad for them. They have no place to run. And I'm sure that when you live in a tornado prone area, you probably all have the underground bunkers, things that you go to. I'm sure, I can't talk today. I can't think of words of anything, but I'm sure that there is an underground bunker that everybody has in their house. But you just have to get your house torn up by a tornado all the time. So you're constantly rebuilding. I mean, tornado insurance has to be incredibly expensive. And how much do they actually cover? And how often do they cover it? What if your tornado gets hit twice in 1 year? What if it gets hit once every other year? You're just always rebuilding houses? That's crazy. I can't imagine it. So I do think I'm pretty fortunate that I live in an area. We don't have tornadoes. I mean, again, yes, we can have an earthquake, but it's not like we have them. I mean, knock on wood. Now, God, I probably just doomed us to have a big old earthquake, but we don't get those. Again, I don't now live near the coast, so I don't have to worry about tsunamis. But even if we did, again, a tsunami isn't something that happens all the time. So I just think of places that get used to, hurricanes and get used to tornadoes. And I can't imagine that. I can't imagine just having it be part of your daily life, I don't know. I couldn't hack it. I could not hack it. Anybody that lives in a tornado prone state, you guys are beasts. You hats off to you guys. And even hurricanes, to go through that all the time. People in Louisiana, God, those poor people in Louisiana are just constantly getting shit on all the time. And I feel so bad for them. And again, like, what if you can't afford homeowners insurance? What if you can't afford that? You just are screwed. You're just homeless. It's so sad. It's so sad. Nobody should have to be homeless and watch their house just be flooded or taken away by a tornado. That's just, or a fire. And then, because you can replace, it's okay if everybody lives, that's amazing. And you can replace things, but you can't really replace things like photos. What if your kids made you macaroni artwork? I just feel so bad for people that have to. So anybody that's affected by Hurricane Ian, or affected by hurricanes in general, my heart goes out. And on that note, I was also thinking, oh my God, my cat just scared the crap out of me. I have a sliding glass door and he was outside and he jumps up on it and starts pawing at it. And okay, if I pick up this phone, it's probably going to make noise, but we're going to try it because he will not stop. He's meowing. But I thought about how, now my train of thought is gone. But I was thinking about living in different spots in different countries and different areas, and countries that are war-torn countries, countries that have to deal, like Israel. I mean, poor Israel. They have to deal with constantly having, things shot at them and people trying to kill them all the time. How the hell is that something? I mean, you don't get used to it. You definitely don't get used to it, but that's awful. And so I'm pretty fortunate because thankfully I have to live with these fucking elder beetles that are, again, like, won't leave me alone. But, I would trade some elder beetles. I mean, I wouldn't, I'd rather have elder beetles than deal with all the other crap that other places do. So, and the fact that I'm just fortunate, again, this whole oppression thing kind of cracks me up because I'm sorry, but if you live in America, if you're born in America, I'm not saying that you can't be oppressed or that you can't have a hard life and come from nothing and have nothing and be poor and poverty stricken. I get really tired of people thinking that there aren't poor people in America, that there aren't people that are homeless and starving and struggling and, can't pay their bills and living on the streets, not because they're lazy and not because they're a drug addict, but because of unfortunate circumstances. I get really tired of people assuming that if you're from America, it means you're rich or you're privileged. That said, I feel like we do have a bit of an advantage compared to some other countries out there. I keep using India, and then I feel like I'm bashing on India because I'm certainly not. I've been to Nepal, and not India, but I've been to Nepal, and it's also, a third world country. And I'm just saying that if you are born in a country that's a third world country, you do, I feel, automatically have something against you that is certainly a lot harder to work your way out of. So I feel like if you're born in the States, I'm not saying that means that you have it easy. I'm not saying that means that you are privileged. I'm just saying that I do think this country, being born in this country, does give you a bit of a leg up in comparison to other places. So I feel very fortunate for that. Our current president makes me insane, and I'm not feeling very fortunate with him at the helm because I feel like it's like a drunk person that also just got like cataract surgery at the helm of a vehicle, driving a vehicle. Like they're drunk and they've had cataract surgery, and he's like, woohoo! And they're just like braille, by braille. That's what I feel like our president is right now. and our vice president and, the whole Biden administration. I feel like, none of them can form sentences at all. None of them know come on, Kamala. North Korea, South Korea, you don't know the difference between North and South Korea and who our ally is. I don't know. Anyway, so these are some things on my mind. And pause, beer break. Sorry. So I bought Stella Artois. I can't say the word at all. Anyway, and it's funny because it kind of smells like skunk and sort of kind of tastes like skunk. Yet when it's really, really cold, it's super crisp and refreshing. And normally I like porters and I like stouts. I like that beer that like puts some hair on your chest. I like that beer that also doubles as like oil for your car. I like that a lot. Or I like really just crisp, clean, light beer that tastes like, piss and skunk. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, sorry, I'm rude. I eat stuff while I'm doing a podcast. I randomly stop and digress. It's horrible quality as far as, you guys always have to listen to static and stuff. And right now I'm in my sunroom, which is really echoey. But I didn't want to go outside because those freaking elder beetles are all over the place. And every time I go outside now, they fly at my head. And I swear to God, they try to like bury themselves in my hair. Look up elder beetles, you guys. Look it up. They're creepy. Again, they've got like red beady eyes and they're just obnoxious. So, all right. Anyway, you guys, have I mentioned enough how appreciative I am that y'all are tuning in? I mean, especially those of you who have tuned in more than once. That just says a lot. So thank you. It either says you're a glutton for punishment or I'm just more amazing than I think I am. Probably just that you're a glutton for punishment, but I love it. Thank you. You guys are just awesome. Tell your friends, be like, hey, if you're totally bored and you're on the way to work and you have nothing to do, turn on the Ramblings of an Insomniac. So again, everybody in other countries that are tuning in, whoop, whoop. Everybody here in the States that are tuning in, whoop, whoop. And I appreciate you all. Until next time, I hope you guys have a fabulous day. This was episode 44 of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. And I will probably, since I didn't do a podcast last week, I might be doing a couple of them this week. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you guys. Till next time.